Hi, welcome to a Vinyasa practice. My name is Kaylee. Today we'll be focusing a little bit extra on the hips, the pelvis, and the lower back. So if your hips, pelvis, low back area feels great, awesome. We're just going to bring a little bit of extra prana into there. And if that area of your body doesn't feel super great, I'm thrilled that you're here. My hope is that throughout this flow, throughout this practice, you have an opportunity to really tune in to what your body might be asking you for and what it might be needing. So let's start in a seated position. Sometimes movement is exactly what we need. Sometimes stillness makes more sense. So let's drop into whatever comfortable seat is going to work for you today. Don't feel like you need to get statue still immediately. So if you need to shift the weight side to side, maybe even reach your arms up over your head, nod your chin, do what you need to do, and then eventually meet me in a moment of stillness. Hips, the pelvis are literally our seat. In yoga, when we're practicing the shapes, we call them asanas. The word asana can mean posture, it can mean perspective, like per point of view. But the most literal translation of asana is seat. So as you settle back into your hips, to whatever seated position you've landed, see if you can use that foundation as an opportunity to bring just a little bit more stability into your lower body. You feel all the points where your tailbone or your sit bones are connected to something solid beneath you. As you inhale, see if you can pull a little bit of that stability up the body. It can be slowly, kind of gently hugging in through the edges of the hips, maybe lifting the pelvic floor a tiny bit, engaging the abdominals ever so slightly. So it's not a tension, it's just a stabilization. And then as you exhale, can you relax into that seat just a little bit deeper? Let's do that 2 more times here. Take a breath in, maybe you feel that connection to the sit bones and gather that energy, draw it up the body, up the spine, up the crown of the head. And like a wave on the exhale, draw that energy right back down those central channels, rooting you deeper into your seat. Last one, let's add arms this time. So sweep your arms up, big breath in. And then bring your hands to your heart as you exhale. All right, meet me in a kind of 90-90 position. So you're bringing your hands back behind you, bend your knees to about 90 degrees, and then I'll turn to the side so that you can see we're just going to windshield wiper the knees. Take this nice and slow, maybe through a smaller range of motion. If you need, you can be moving your hands in front of you to the side. I'm just going to move the hips, internal, external rotation happening in those thighs. Notice how the hips are responding. Notice if there's areas where maybe this doesn't feel super great. And see if you can find a path of movement that doesn't feel painful, right? So that could mean slowing down. That could mean backing off. You could also come right here with the knees pointing upright more and the feet a little closer. Let's pause with the knees over to the right. You can walk the fingers around the right knee. Keep the chest lifted for a moment here. And then see if you can lift your left foot. Lower the left foot and maybe lift again. So we're just rotating here, a little rotation at the left hip. Doing some of these activation movements so that as we move into some deeper stretches and bigger ranges of motion, all of those stabilizer muscles are nice and ready to go. We're gonna try the opposite here. So keep that left foot down, bring your left hand back behind you, try and lift the left knee, keep the right knee down. It's a little inner thigh. Lift, Ooh, and lower. So much of this practice is about being in communication with your body, having a conversation, finding that sweet spot where you're not pushing, you're not forcing, you're exploring, right? Those little edges where maybe the body's been a little dormant, or we can bring some energy in. But always, always, always prioritizing non-harming, never causing harm to our tissues, always coming in gently. All right, go ahead and bring the hands back behind you. Let's just straighten the legs out before we switch sides. Kind of paddle out, soften up some of the connective tissue, bring a little bit of energy into the joint spaces of the knees. And then we're going to dip the hips to the left. So same thing over here. We're going to keep the right knee down, try and keep your left sit bone down. Bring your right hand forward if you want. And then we're going to lift that back foot and lower the back foot. So feeling what's going on in the outer edge of the right hip and thigh, as well as maybe the right glutes. See if you can find space in the low back. So draw the abdominals in and up. We're not dumping into the lumbar spine a bunch here. Let's just do 4 more like this, and then we'll switch, keeping that right foot down. Really owning this movement. So lower the right foot, and then lift the right knee. Inner edge of the right foot stays connected, but we're not forcing it down. So let that right ankle kind of move with you. Right foot moves with the knee. And then again, not looking for the biggest range of motion necessarily, but looking for a movement that you feel like you can control. Nice long inhales, slow exhales. Ooh, okay, go ahead and release that completely. Shake out the legs again. And then when you're ready, cross your ankles, plant your hands, meet me on your hands and your knees. So shoulders are right over your wrists, knees are directly underneath your hips, and then lift the tailbone. Try and keep the ribs in the head still and tuck the tailbone. So we're just mobilizing the lumbar spine and the pelvis. See if you can really find your abdominals as you hug in. We're going to add a little bit of breath and increase our range of motion, inviting the rest of the spine as we slow this down. So drop your belly this time as you lift your tailbone. Long inhale, maybe your gaze comes up, your chin can tilt upward. And then round your spine as you exhale. Tuck the chin in toward your chest. Let your shoulders melt toward your ears. 2 more. Cow pose as you breathe in. Imagine pulling the heels of your hands toward your knees. Cat pose as you breathe out. Tuck the chin, shoulders melting toward the ears. Last one, breath in. Breath out. Find a neutral spine here. We're going to bring the right toes back behind you and then press forward and backward. Warm up your right ankle. And keep that right ankle pushing back for a moment. Press into your hands so that you can really drive back. So you can send that force back through the heel, opening up the calf. Keep the sides of the neck long. Shift forward, float the right leg up, and then reach the left arm forward. For today, if you want, you can go ahead and lift high instead of thinking about long. And in order to do that, we're going to activate the muscles in the back. So those spinal extensors, almost like you're trying to take a back bend here. Bend your left elbow, bend your right knee. So see if you can activate those muscles even more. Back of the body is active, like you're trying to touch the ceiling with your right foot and your left elbow. Breathe in. And then exhale, gently set the hand and the knee down. Switch sides, bring your left toes back behind you, press into your left heel. Use your hands and your arms to drive that left heel back. Just stretch through your calf. And you soften through the jaw here. Great, and then shift forward. We're gonna lift the left leg up. You can point the toe, you can flex the foot, whatever makes sense for you. Lift, 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 and then bring your right arm forward. Imagine that you're trying to reach the ceiling with your right thumb and your left heel. And then option to bend that right elbow and bend the left knee. Lifting, lifting, lifting. Push into your left hand and your right shin for some counter force. Big breath in here. Exhale, hand and knee down. Widen your knees out, bring your big toes together, and then press back into a child's pose as you reverse your palms to face upright. See if you can relax all the little muscles in your palms and your wrists. Maybe the fingers spread, maybe they gently curl. Just feel any sensations in the surface of the skin underneath your palms. And slide forward to your hands and your knees, tuck the toes under, take a breath in. And then downward facing dog, you're pressing the floor away with your hands. Bend into one knee real deeply, and then the other knee, pedaling it out a little bit. And then from downward facing dog, go ahead and look toward your pinky fingers. We're going to step into Malasana, so big step outside of your right pinky with your right foot, outside of your left pinky with your left foot. Bring your hands to your heart. Try and find a little bit of length in your spine as you press the elbows into the inner thighs. Breathe in. And stay here. Push into the elbows with the inner thighs as you exhale. Maybe find a little bit more length in the middle of your back, a little bit more space there. Deep breath in. And forward fold, release the fingers, point the toes forward, keep the feet split about hips distance as you catch the crooks of the opposite elbows. Find a little sway here by shifting your weight from foot to foot. I'm really trusting that you belong here exactly as you are. There's nothing that you need to fix or change. We're just meeting ourselves exactly as we are, moment to moment in this practice, and responding skillfully to any of the messages that the body's giving us, any of the insight, maybe from our wisdom, our intuition. Release the fingers down, heel toe the feet a little closer together, kind of spacing that feels really stable, and then slide your palms up your shins as you slowly unroll. So slide the hands up the kneecaps, up the thighs. Once you're upright, root down into your feet, reach your arms up, big breath in. And then cactus the elbows out to the side as you exhale, squeeze the glutes gently, inner thighs are hugging together. Reach the arms up, bend your knees right into our first chair pose. We're not here for long, breathe in. And then fold forward as you breathe out. Find a halfway stretch, take a breath in. Little different warm up today. Exhale your right toes to the back of the mat, drop your right knee down. Sweep the arms up, take a breath in, finding your supported crescent lunge. And then exhale your hands, step your left foot to the back of the mat, high plank. Pause in the high push-up, take a big breath in. Bend your elbows, lower half or all the way down. Cobra pose or upward facing dog. Traction the fingers back. If you're in cobra, breathe in. And then downward facing dog is your exhale. From downward facing dog, the right leg's gonna lift, inhale. And then step the right foot forward between the thumbs, drop the left knee down as you exhale. Reach your arms up, take a breath in. Release the hands to frame your front foot. Step your left foot to the top of the mat. Exhale into your forward fold. Halfway stretch, slide your palms to your shins as you fill up. Catch your calves as you exhale, tuck your chin. Unroll all the way up, focusing on your breath. Keep the legs straight, bend your elbows as you exhale. Back to chair, breathe in. Forward fold, breathe out. Halfway stretch, take a breath in. This time the left foot's going to step to the back of the mat. Keep the left knee lifted. Keep the left hand down. Reach your right arm up and open. Dragonfly twist. We'll hold here, but keep moving the breath. Long inhales, find space in your spine. As you exhale, rotate, wrapping the lungs around the heart, maybe taking your eyes up toward your top thumb. Hug the inner thighs together. Stay here, big breath in. Exhale, right hand down, right foot to the back of the mat, high to low push-up. Cobra or up dog. Inhale, lengthen the sides of the neck. Downward facing dog as you exhale. Left leg lifts, breathe in. Step forward as you empty, right knee stays lifted, left arm comes up. Hold your twist on this side. Sending that left hip bone back in space as you reach the crown of the head forward. Imagine that the ribs are trying to move away from the hips and the hips are trying to move away from the ribs. Big breath in. We're going to step to the top of the mat, fold forward on the exhale. Halfway stretch, breathe in. Forward fold, breathe out. Unroll all the way up on the in-breath. Bend your elbows as you exhale, hug the legs together. Chair pose, breathe in, find space in the low back. Forward fold as you breathe out. Halfway stretch, take a breath in. Right foot steps to the back of the mat. This time, let's come all the way into high crescent lunge. Sweep your arms up. Hold here, but continue to move your breath in that rhythm. In and out through your nose if you can. You can always open your mouth if you need. So that control of our breath, control of our prana, very closely linked to our ability to focus our thoughts and to unhook from thoughts that maybe aren't so helpful as we allow ourselves to kind of click into or be more selective and choose which thoughts might support us here. And root down to the base of your right big toe. Nice long breath in. We're going to find a lightning crescent. Sweep your arms by your side, winging your arms by your side. Reach the crown of the head forward and then press into your left foot so that you can push that left hip crease back in space. Ujjayi breaths. We're going to turn this into a reverse warrior. Pivot your right heel down. Sweep your left arm up and open. Option to stay here with that left knee bent or to take reverse triangle, straightening out the left knee. Maybe softening your back knee, softening the right knee a little bit. Drawing the abdominals in. An option to lift the left toes, press into your left heel, take it into a back bend. Breathe in. Cartwheel your hands, step back high to low push-up, take it through your vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Absolutely zero rush. From down dog, right leg lifts, breathe in. Step forward as you exhale, high crescent lunge. So the right foot's at the top of the mat. We're drawing inward through the inner thighs, lifting up through the pelvic floor and using that lift in our seat to support the length, to support the space that travels all the way up the rest of the body, to the crown of the head, out through the tips of the fingers. Nice big breath in. Wing your arms, lean forward, lightning crescent. You find that sweet spot between effort and ease. When we're working with the hips, we're working with the first and the second chakra. So the first chakra has everything to do with stability, with our foundation. And the second chakra has everything to do with mobility, with our ability to be flexible and go with the flow. So we're working these two things really as two sides of the same coin. We want them in balance. We want to be able to use them skillfully. Big breath in. Stay here strong as you exhale. Pivot the back heel down, reverse warrior or reverse triangle. So option to keep that front knee bent or to straighten the right knee out. Soft bend your left knee. And maybe you add a little bit of a back bend, pushing into your right heel as much or as little as feels good. So stay in communication with your body. Maybe you kind of find that edgy spot and then you back off just a little bit. If you can breathe deeply in and out through your nose, it's a good indication that you own this shape, that you have the strength as well as the stability to support it. Breathe in. Circle your hands, step back high to low push-up. Upward dog or cobra is an in-breath. And then downward facing dog as you exhale. Left leg lifts, breathe in. Step forward as you breathe out with both of your feet. Forgot where we were going for a second. Halfway stretch, we're at the top, breathe in. Forward fold, breath out. Rise all the way up on the in-breath. Bend your elbows as you exhale. This time as you come into chair, we're going to shift the weight into the right foot and find airplane pose, lifting your left leg back behind you, pressing through the heel. And it's strong through your front leg, soft bend that right knee, and then use your inner thighs to kind of square the hips. So pull that right inner thigh up, left inner thigh down and back. From here, high crescent lunge, step the left foot to the back as you breathe in. Lightning crescent as you breathe out. Right away, reverse triangle or reverse warrior on the inhale. And then we're cartwheeling it down, standing splits. For right now, you can take a kind of figure like an L shape with your legs, so like a 90-degree, or if it feels good to really play around with opening the hips, go for it. It really depends on what you're working on. So for me, I'm really working on both stability and flexibility. I want to have what's called active flexibility. So if I'm taking this into a bigger stretch, personally, I want to make sure that the muscles supporting the joint space of my hips, my low back, my knees are active. Big breath in. We're going to take a Shiva squat or a yoga curtsy, bringing your left knee to your right calf. Option to wing one or both of your arms here. From here, we're going to find a single-legged mountain. Bring the left knee and the arms up. You're at the top of the mat. Lift the left knee nice and high. Big breath in, and then figure four. Cross the left ankle over the top of the right thigh. You can bring your hands to your heart or to your hips, or maybe you have something nearby that you can use to support your balance and get into this stretch. Flex your left foot a bit so you're active in that stand or in that lifted foot, letting that left knee drop open a bit. I'm going to come back to single-legged mountain, breathe in, and then step your left foot down. Exhale, bend your elbows, so standing at the top of the mat in cactus. Chair pose, breathe in. An airplane, right leg goes back this time. And then pressing through your right heel as if you're trying to bring your foot to the wall back behind you, or some other kind of touchstone back behind you. It could be a piece of furniture. Nice. Step the ball of your right foot down. High crescent lunge. Breathe in. Lightning crescent. Hinge forward. Hug in through the abdominals. Reverse warrior or reverse triangle on the inhale. Standing split. Cartwheel your hands. Shift the weight. And then float that right foot and leg up. A little mini bend in your left knee, whether you're going for biggest range of motion possible or strongest connection to this shape possible, or something in between. Almost at least a micro bend in your left knee to protect the joint space. Big inhale. Right knee, left calf, Shiva squat. Option to wing your arms. Draw the abdominals in. So common to round in this shape. See if you can pull in through your midsection so that you feel stable and supported. Right? That stability, that support is what allows us to flow. Inhale, right knee up, single-legged mountain. Exhale, figure four, right ankle over the top of the left thigh. And can you find space in your jaw, space around your eyes? Notice if you're gripping in the wrists or the fingers. It's not that those areas get like limp, but we skillfully engage just to the extent that we need. So we're being really efficient with our body's use of energy, right? Really efficient use of prana. Single-legged mountain, breathe in. Step the foot down, exhale, bend your elbows, standing tall at the top. Chair pose on the in-breath, this time forward fold as you empty. Halfway stretch, take a breath in. Plant the hands, step back, high to low push-up. Cobra or up dog is our inhale. And then downward facing dog, exhale. Lift to the right leg. This time, bend your right knee externally, opening through your hip. Stay here, put a little bend in your left knee. Maybe you lift your left heel. And then use your right hand to push your chest toward your left thigh. Keep the right knee lifting as you breathe in. We're going to bring the right knee to the left calf as you breathe out. Bend that left knee even deeper. So it's very much like a little Shiva squat, but you're in kind of a down dog version. Inhale, peel it open. You can straighten out the bottom leg if you want. Exhale, rebend the left knee. Bring your right knee to your left calf. 2 more. Inhale, find that opening through the hips, external rotation. Exhale, right knee to the left calf, maybe right knee to the outside of the left calf. Last time, big breath in. Big breath out. Take it all the way to 3-legged dog this time on the inhale. And then step forward, we'll meet in high crescent lunge. Breathe in, reach up. Lightning crescent, lean it forward, pull back through the fingers. Reverse triangle or warrior, inhale. Standing split, cartwheel your hands, shift the weight forward. Stay here, take a big breath in. Shiva squat as you empty, maybe you wing your arms. Single-legged mountain, inhale up. Figure 4, exhale, bring the outer edge of the left foot over the right thigh. Come back to single-legged mountain, we're gonna add on, breathe in. Take it back to Shiva squat as you breathe out. Maybe you work on bringing your left knee outside of the right calf. Inhale, single-legged mountain. So we're going to rotate between these 3. Exhale, figure 4. Single-legged mountain, option to hold on to something here. Exhale, Shiva squat. One more time, big breath in. Big breath out. Inhale, reach. Shiva squat. Hold the Shiva squat here. Bring your fingertips down underneath your shoulders. We're going to turn this into a seated spinal twist. So this left knee that's lifted slowly is going to lower down to the outside of the right foot. Sit your hips back and bring your right hand back behind you. Right knee's pointing upward. Lift your left arm up. Breathe in, find length in the spine, and then twist. You can hook the right knee with the left elbow. And take your gaze either forward, over to the right, or maybe toward your back shoulder. If you've got some tension in the neck or the jaw, it might feel good to do what I'm doing here, which is just a slow cervical rotation. So looking forward and backward, maybe closing the eyes down a little bit, or not looking at anything in particular. From here, when you're ready, take the eyes forward, bring your hands back behind you. I said in Navasana, so hands can be right on the mat back behind you. They can be out to the side a little bit. Lift the legs, option to have the knees bent or keep them straight. Lower your boat a bit. So lean back here, but keep your core tight. Big breath in. As you exhale, lift the right knee into your chest. Lift your chest into your right thigh. Inhale, bring that right leg forward. Exhale, left knee comes in. Inhale it forward. Exhale, right. So switching sides here. You can keep the breath and really kind of focus on super stable, deliberate movements here. Or you might pick up the pace a little bit and just trust that your body's breathing. We're going to cross the ankles, plant the hands, step or hop through your vinyasa. The next place we will meet is downward facing dog in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Meet me in downward facing dog without rushing yourself. And then left leg will lift. Take a breath in. Bend your left knee, externally opening through the hip on this side. Pressing into your left hand as you bend your right knee, that's your bottom leg, lift your right heel. Inhale, left knee kind of cranks open high on the in-breath, and then left knee to the outside of the right calf as you exhale, bend your right knee a bunch. Inhale, open it, and then exhale, re-bend left knee to the right calf. 3 more times, big breath here to find space. Exhale, squeeze in through the outer hips. Last 2, breath in. Breath out. 1 more, inhale. And exhale. 3-legged dog on the in-breath. Step forward, high crescent lunge. Finish your inhale, maybe you take your eyes up. Lightning crescent as you exhale, lean it forward. Reverse, breathe in. Standing split, cartwheel the hands, right leg lifts. Take a breath in, Shiva squat as you empty. Single-legged mountain, inhale, reach your arms up. Ooh, a little balance challenge there. Exhale, find your figure 4. Maybe find some support. Move between these 2 shapes. Inhale, single-legged mountain. Exhale, Shiva squat. Single-legged mountain, breathe in. Exhale, figure 4. So if you're working on balance, great. Maybe you challenge yourself not to hold on to anything and reduce the range of motion a bit. If you're playing around with the stretch here, go ahead and use a little bit of support. There's not a right or a wrong way to do this. We're doing extra on this side, I realize. Let's meet in that Shiva squat so that we can set up that seated spinal twist. So fingers are going to come down underneath your shoulders. Right knee slides down to the outside of the left foot. Keep the knees bent as you sink your hips back. Left arm comes back, right arm comes up. Find some length in your spine. Breathe into it. And then take your twist. Your option is to find some stillness and to really dial in the movement of your breath, letting the inhales create a little bit of a space between every one of your vertebrae. And allowing those exhales to help you twist a bit deeper in that axis. Or maybe you keep the spine relatively still, but start to move just the upper spine, just the neck, nodding the chin from the front to the back of the neck. The next time you're looking forward, take a breath in and then unwind the arms right back into our boat. So option here, low boat with 1 knee at a time or double knees. We will meet in downward facing dog in 10, 9, 8, just using your core and your legs, 7, 6, 5, 4, option to release the arms if you need more. Last 3, 2, 1, downward facing dog. All right, we're gonna put that whole thing together. Right leg goes high on the in-breath. Step it straight through between your thumbs as you exhale. High crescent lunge, breathe in. Lightning as you breathe out. Reverse open on the in-breath. Standing split, cartwheel the hands, exhale, lift the left leg, breathe in. Shiva squat, maybe you wing your arms. Inhale, single-legged mountain. Exhale, figure 4. We're gonna add on from here, single-legged mountain, take a breath in. And then catch the outside of your left knee with your right hand, reach your left arm back. So in our dancing Shiva, option to keep the grip on the outside of the knee or to move your right hand to the outside of the left foot, excuse me. Lift the left inner thigh upward, lift the right inner thigh upward, and then try and bring your shoulders back over your hips. Set the eyes to one spot. If the balance feels relatively stable, start to work your gaze toward your back thumb. Those little wobbles are sometimes the moments where our nervous system and our muscular system are doing the best work to create some new connections. Look forward, keep the left leg lifted, reach the arms up, and totally have a bend in the left knee. Lift that left leg high, lift the ribs high, lift the shoulders high. And then lift even higher through the wrists. Breathe in. Airplane, fly it back in space. Little micro bend in that right knee. Take a full breath in. We're going to step the left foot to the back of the mat and open all the way up into horse. Bend your knees, toes in, or toes out, excuse me. Heels in, knees pointing towards your toes. Bring your arms into this full post shape, and then meet me in some little pulses to start. Try not to fully straighten the legs if you can. Push down with your feet and energetically out as if you were trying to make more space underneath you. Watch your balance there. Hold it low, bring your hands to your thighs. Straighten the arms, roll the right shoulder down as you look to the left. Come back to the center. Roll the left shoulder down as you look to the right. Come back to the center, reach the arms up, straighten the legs out, pivot the toes in. Interlace your hands up through your lower back. Take a little bit of a back bend here. On an inhale, find your bind, and then bow forward with the bind. And give your chin a gentle little nod side to side. You release the bind or stay here for a couple more rounds of breath. Imagine the crown of the head touching the mat. So looking back toward the space behind you so that we're really lengthening out through the back of the neck. Great, release the hands and then pivot the left toes to the back of the mat. We're going to take it into Skandasana. Have to do Skandasana in a hip class. You can absolutely be up in a side lunge. Use whatever support you need and then find that sweet spot where you're not moving through any pain, you're not causing any harm, but maybe there's just a little something new, finding some sensations, moving into ranges of motion that you might not be doing most of your life or throughout the rest of your day. Look toward your top foot and take a breath in. We're finding warrior two at the top of the mat. This is going to be a memory challenge for me. See if I can remember all this on the other side when we get there. Root down through your back foot, so just straighten the right leg, shift the left hip up and back, reach forward, and then find Trikonasana over here. Bringing that right hand down to your shin or maybe to a block, or even just letting that right hand kind of float in front of your right inner calf. And stay here with a long spine, reaching the crown of the head away from your tailbone, but maybe let your right ear drop toward your right shoulder. The left arm's going to reach forward. Start to bend your front knee, bring your hands down. We're going to bring that right foot back behind you into a wild thing. So right toes come back behind you, lift the right arm up, nice long inhale here. As you exhale, find a high push-up position, high push-up. Step the feet out past the edges of your yoga mat, and then bring your right fingers to your left shoulder and switch. Try and keep your hips super duper still here. Pushing that bottom hand down. So whichever hand is on the mat, really press it down for 5, 4, 3, 2, high push-up. Step or hop the feet back in. Take a breath in as you shift forward and then lower to chaturanga or to your belly. Cobra or up dog, inhale it open. Downward facing dog, exhale, press back. Left leg lifts, breathe in. Step forward as you empty, high crescent, strong, full inhale. Lightning crescent, exhale. Reverse, breathe in. Cartwheel the hands, standing split. Stay here for your inhale. Shiva squat on the exhale. Maybe you wing the arms. Single-legged mountain, breathe in. Figure 4, breath out. Come back to your single-legged mountain on the inhale. And then dancing Shiva, left hand somewhere on the outside of the right leg or foot as that right arm comes back. Reach the crown of the head away from the tailbone. See if you can let that right hip crease drop down a bit so the hip's still level. We're not pitching that right hip up in space. And then come back to your breath. Maybe challenge your drishti, bringing your focal point to your right thumb. Remember those little wobbles. Stay safe, but trust that in those little wobbles, when we have those moments where the body kind of loses balance and it has to re-find it, we're actually building new neuromuscular pathways or strengthening ones that maybe aren't as intact as we might want them to be. Come back to the center, keep that right leg lifted, reach your arms up, ooh, lift that right leg high, high, high. Lift the arms high, high, high. Hug in through the left leg, so the left glute, left thigh, strong, breathe in. Airplane, fly it back in space. Nice long inhale here. We're gonna set up horse pose, come back to horse pose. Oh my goodness. I do a little hip extension this time. So you can add your pulses. We'll do 3 pulses and then straighten your legs, straighten the arms. Give your glutes just a gentle squeeze. We're not trying to hyperextend here, but open up through the front of the hips. Come back to horse, little pulse for 3, 2, 1. Straight legs, push the arms back. Little pulse for 3, 2, 1. Straight arms push back. Keep going. You can stick with that combo of 3 pulses, or you can change it up. The combo is not the important part. So maybe you're just taking singles. Maybe you're holding a straight leg. Maybe you're holding a horse. We're here for 4, for 3. We're gonna meet in straight legs in 2 and 1. Straight legs, sweep the arms up with the toes in. Interlace the hands at the lower back, lift the heart, lift the chest, lift the chin as you inhale, and then fold forward with or without that bind. Give your head a gentle shake side to side or front to back. Relax the jaw, release the fingers down. We're gonna take Skandasana to your right leg this time. So for me, I'm gonna be toward the top of the mat. For you, if you didn't turn around in horse, you'll be back toward the back again. Playing Skandasana or your side lunge here. And then create some length in your spine, even if it's just in your mind's eye. Opening up to the low back, so not rounding a bunch here. In order to do that, you're gonna pull in through the inner thighs a bit and then engage the lower abdominals. Pelvic floor might lift. Look toward your left foot. Take a breath in. Warrior 2 toward the left foot. Start to straighten out the left knee. Pitch your right hip up and back in space. Find length in the left side waist as you inhale. And then Trikonasana is our triangle pose. So bring your awareness into your feet. Feel that you're rooting down through all 4 corners of your feet. That maybe you're actually playing around with lifting your toes a little bit. Nice, that top arm's gonna come forward. We're gonna bring, the hands down off the balance there a little bit and take it into our wild thing. Left toes come back behind you. Lift the hips, opening up through those hip flexors. Little action in the glutes, inner thighs hug together, breathe in. And then high push up, high plank here. From your high push up, keep the toes tucked, round your back a little bit, and then bring your right knee to your right elbow. Let's switch, bring your left knee to your left elbow. Keep the toes tucked, lower leg halfway down, and pull your chest through. So you're coming into a toes tucked upward facing dog. Breathe in. And then exhale, engage your core, right knee, right elbow, left knee, left elbow. Toes tucked up dog, big breath. Let's go left to the left, right to the right. So we're gonna alternate between a toe tuck up dog on and in, and then a little mountain climber variation. Just focus on that inhale. Super strong in your arms, grip the mat with your finger pads, take your toes tucked upward facing dog, drop the knees down, and then send the hips back into a child's pose. 3 nice deep breaths here. You can turn the palms to face up, relaxing the muscles around your wrists, the backs of your hands. And from child's pose, when you're ready, you shift forward to hands and knees. And I finish with a nice hip sequence. Bring your right foot between your thumbs. Keep the left knee down, just like we did at the very beginning in our first warm-up. Taking your hip flexor stretch in the front of the left hip and thigh. And stay here or bring your hands to your right thigh and then shift back so that your hips are over your left knee. And a little tiny tilt of the tailbone downward, so it's in neutral, and then push your right foot down and forward. And some space, not only in the left hip flexor here, but maybe all the way down into the front of the left thigh. And stay here or reach the left arm up. If the left arm's lifted, start to rotate to the right. Maybe even bring that right hand toward the small of your back or to the outer edge of the left hip, or wherever it feels natural. Take a breath in and then release the hands, frame out your right leg, and then start to send the hips back for Hanumanasana. Getting into the hamstrings and the calf in your right leg. Even though we're focusing on hips today, really everything in the body is connected. So if we've got tension in a joint or a muscle or instability in a joint or a muscle that's above or below the hips, it's a good chance that the hips are aware of that and are doing something to compensate. So you want to make sure that even if we're working on a specific area of the body, we're still treating this organism, this system of your body as a whole, as a holistic piece. From here, we're going to take a quad stretch. So you can shift the weight over to the right. Keep the left knee bent. Bring your hands back behind you. You might feel good lying all the way down on your back. You might feel better turning and using a wall. You could also lie on your right side and catch your left foot. So just finding that quad stretch in whatever way is going to feel best for your body today. And then tune into the sensations of that stretch. We're just here for another 3 rounds of breath. And carefully release that stretch. If you're on your back, you might just roll to the right. Let the left leg stretch. And then work your way back to your hands and your knees. 0 rush to get there. Left foot's going to step between your thumbs once you do. And finding your hip flexor stretch on this side. So in this position, totally fine if it feels good to let that left knee jut forward past your left toes. We're just getting a bigger stretch for the front of the quad on the left and the tendon that covers the left knee, the patellar tendon. If that doesn't feel great, or if it feels better, like a better stretch for me, bring your hips back up over your right knee. Find a nice neutral pelvis, right? So if your butt's sticking back in space, these hip flexors get to stay nice and short. So you want to find that little tuck to open up. Those hip flexors are short all day when we're sitting. So bringing that spaciousness back into that area of the body. Option, should you want, is to lift the left arm and to rotate to, or the right arm, excuse me, and to rotate to the left. Maybe your left hand comes onto the small of the back or somewhere else that feels supported. Notice if there's compensation happening, right? If you've jutted forward or if you've lost that neutral pelvis, you can bring it back and then come back to the center, frame your front leg. Hanumanasana, our hamstring stretch. Straightening out the left leg just until you feel something in the back of the left hip and thigh. And then notice, right, if the pelvis feels level, if one side's really pulling back more than the other, you move just a little bit more toward midline. If you close the eyes, you can drop into the sensations of the stretch. And our last one on this side, however you can get there, send the hips down inside of the right ankle. And then keeping the right knee bent, either recline or roll to the left. Remember, you could recline up against a piece of furniture or a wall. As you land, just bringing awareness into the sensations of the stretch in the front of the right hip and thigh. Make sure you're not stretching through pain, but that you are staying really curious about the sensations in the body. So being open to the sensation instead of trying to numb them or avoid them. So human. And our yoga practice is a really nice space to practice giving ourselves permission to feel, to show up as we are. If you're on your back, maybe you roll to the left so that you can release the right leg, straighten the legs out on the mat in front of you, and then just toggle the feet in and out. So like turn the toes in at the same time and out at the same time. Feeling that movement, maybe bring your hands onto the hips or the top of the thighs and feel that movement in the hips and thighs. If you can hold the toes pointing inward for a moment. Notice the muscles there, and then let the toes flop outward. You can force the toes out a little bit more, and then find something right in between. So take a minute to shift and to adjust and to settle in. If there's any other stretches that you need, I'm realizing we're a little short on time. I want to make sure that we get at least a good handful of breaths in Shavasana. To let all of the goodness, all of the effort, all of those big ranges of motion and muscle activation that we did, let it soak in at a cellular level, at an energetic level, so that you can wrap up this practice in just a few moments, feeling maybe a bit more connected to your body than you did when you stepped on your mat. You're hearing little whimpers. I'm not sure if the microphone's picking that up. My dog's having a little dream here. Let the breath move through any areas that feel a little extra tense after that or tingly. If you have the opportunity to stay a little bit longer in rest, please do so. If you're ready to move on with your day, bring some gentle movement back into your body. Circle the ankles, wiggle the toes. Eventually, take your time to meet me in a seat. And coming back to that asana, back to our posture. Right, this word that means not only seat, but also point of view, maybe giving yourself permission to use this practice as an opportunity to reset and reframe your point of view or your perspective as you move forward into whatever is next in your day. And take a big breath in, circle the arms over your head, and then exhale right back into your heart. All right. Thank you for being here. Take good care of yourself. I hope to see you soon.